A code autocompleter and assistant enhances software development by suggesting, completing, and optimizing code snippets in real time. Now, using DeepSeek AI, we can build an AI powered coding assistant that helps developers write code faster and more efficiently. Our Project 16 will be covering code autocompleter and assistant with DeepSeek AI. Now, why use an AI coding assistant? It speeds up development, auto suggests and completes code as you type, reduces errors, it identifies mistakes and suggests corrections, improves code quality, it suggests the best practices and optimizations. It works with multiple languages, supports Python, JavaScript, Java, and more. It enhances learning, helps beginners understand code structure. Let's look at some of the common use cases for this. Auto completing functions and loops, providing real time syntax suggestions, refactoring code for better readability, generating boilerplate code and templates, and helping beginners understand coding concepts. So let's look at how the AI coding assistant works. The AI powered code autocompleter will first receive an incomplete code snippet or query. It will analyze the syntax and intent and suggest completions, optimizations, or debugging help. And finally, return the suggested code block. An example for an AI code auto-completion can be if you just send a function name, say def factorial of n, the AI suggestion completion will write the entire factorial function for you. Let's look at setting up the AI code autocompleter. Let's build a Python script to generate code suggestions using DeepSeek AI. We'll follow three steps. Step one, first install the dependencies. Next, we're going to create a Python script and then run the script. So let's go ahead and ensure that you have request and radio installed. I am on my project 16 folder. I'm going to go here and say pip install request and gradio. And as you can see, I have it already installed. Perfect. Next step is to create a Python script. So I'm going to go here to my project 16, create a new file, save this as code underscore autocompleter.py. And here start with importing requests. Next I'll import gradio as gr. Then my DeepSeek API URL will be defined here as olama URL equal to http localhost 11434 API generate. Next, let's write the code to complete code and pass it the code snippet and language. I'm going to set by default to Python. And you can, when you're calling this function, you can pass the coding language anyways. And it says uses DeepSeek AI to provide code completions and suggestions. Next, I'm going to say prompt equal to complete the following I specified language, which is Python code snippet. So I pass that thing here. Next, I'm going to say provide a clean, efficient, and correct implementation. So once my prompt is ready, let's create the payload. Our payload model that we want to use is DeepSeek R1. Prompt is prompt, stream is false. Perfect. So we have that. Next, I'll say response equal to request.post olama URL JSON payload. Now, if response.status code is 200, if everything worked perfectly, we get response, we'll check the JSON, and inside that check if we have a response key. And if it does have, that's what we'll return. If not, we'll say no code suggestions available. If there was an error doing this, I'll just say return error response.text. Next, let's test the code autocompleter. I'm going to say if name equal to main, test code equal to, so I'm just creating, like as I mentioned, Fibonacci, just the function name, not the code. Code is not there. I'll say print AI suggested code, and then I'll say complete code and pass this code snippet there. Save this file, and our step 3 is to run this. So I'm going to go here and say Python code autocompleter.py, run it. This is going to call our Olama API, which will use DeepSeek AI and give us the completed code. So let's give it a few seconds. And there you go. We have our code snippet completed here. So if you see, it gives me the complete logic. It thinks about what it has to do and then says to solve this problem, we need to compute the nth Fibonacci number efficiently. It talks about the approach, and here's a step-by-step breakdown of the approach. And then Finally, my Python solution code is here, which says if n equal to 0, return 0, else if n equal to 1, return 1, and then it will set the values as a, b, 0, 1, and then for each one of them until we reach n, it will kind of get the Fibonacci code and give me back. Now again, it talks about the explanation here, initialization, loop through values. It gives you all the information that you need to write this code. So perfect. That's exactly what we were expecting. I hope you were able to get this. I'm going to clear this out and jump into our next section, which is creating a web app for code auto completion. Now let's build a Gradio web interface where users can enter incomplete code and receive AI suggestions. So I'm going to go ahead and do two steps here. First, modify the code autocompleter.py to add the Gradio interface. And next, I'll go ahead and run the web app. So I'm going to go back here, go to my code here, I'm going to go and comment this out. I don't need this anymore. And here, I'll start with a comment create Gradio interface. And here I'll create the interface equal to gr.interface. I'll say function equal to complete code. This function I'm calling here inputs. So it needs two inputs. So I'm going to say gr.textbooks line equal to 5 placeholder, place your incomplete code here. And then I'll say Dropbox, what is the programming language that you want to use? Next, I'm going to create the output where gr.textbox label equal to AI suggested code. Give it a title, AI powered code autocompleter. Give it a description, enter an incomplete code snippet, and AI will complete it. Close this. And then finally, to launch the web app, I'll say if name equal to main, I'll say interface.launch. Save this, go back here. Let's run this code again. It's going to give me a URL, which I'll take and open this in a web browser right here. And now I can pass the incomplete code here. We have the incomplete code right here. Go ahead and put that here. Python is fine. I'll say submit. Now with processing, it sent it, it's calling the Olama API, and in there it's getting the DeepSeek R1 model and then generating the code. So we'll give it a few seconds and check it out. And there you go. It took a few seconds, almost the same answer as before, and it gives me the solution code right here, and I can look at the explanation that is provided right here in a web application. Perfect. So I hope you were able to follow along and get this. Our next section is enhancing the code autocompleter. First, let's look at debugging and optimizing code. Now, to allow AI to debug and improve code, we'll need to modify the function to actually have a debug code option here. So I'm going to go here. Now this is for complete code. I'm going to add a code function here to debug the code. I'll say debug code function. It needs code snippet and language. The prompt will change to debug and optimize the following, whichever language it is, code with the code snippet. And so provide a fixed version with explanations. And then payload, again, same thing, DeepSeek, prompt, stream false, and then response request dot post Olama JSON payload and return that back either with the response or no debugging options available. So you can actually go and test this out. Also, you can test for this if response status code is 200 and all that stuff, but I'll just put this code here just so that it's helpful if you want to just use this prompt instead of this one for debugging code. Next is code commenting and explanation. Now, if you want to do something similar to that, what you can do is you can just change the prompt. You can create another function or change the prompt saying, oops, let's say this is the prompt that you can use. Explain the following, whichever language is code, in simple terms and code snippet. So it will give you a explanation for just the code that you are providing. So that's how you can, now AI can actually generate step-by-step explanations for you. Our next step is deploying as an API. To integrate the code autocompleter into development environments, you can deploy it using Fast API. So for that, what I can do is, I'll just make sure this is fixed. Okay, save this, go back here, close this, go ahead and clear this out. Here, I'm going to make sure that I have installed Fast API and UVCon, which we did earlier, so should be good. Clear this out. Next, I'm going to go here, create a new file, save it as app.py, and here start with importing Fast API from Fast API, import request. We'll create the app, call the Fast API function, Olama URL, HTTP localhost 11434 API generate. Then create an endpoint which kind of can be called using post request. Complete code is the endpoint, and the function that runs is complete code, which will take a data dictionary, which will have which inside here I'm going to say payload is model DeepSeek R1, prompt is complete code for this particular code snippet, stream false. Next, I'll say response equal to request.post olama URL JSON payload, and I'll say return JSON response.json get response and no completion available if there's no completion available. Now, to run this API, all you have to do is run this, save this first, go back here and run it here. Now, if I want to call this, I'm going to copy this, go to my postman as usual, put it here, make sure it's post, endpoint is complete code. So I'm going to say slash complete code, and my data, as we've seen earlier, goes in here. I'm going to say JSON data, and this data, what parameter do I need? I need code snippet. So inside this, I'll say code snippet is, I have my code snippet here. I just use the same thing, which was right here. Copy this, put it in here, and then I'll send it. And wait for it for a little while, and we will see the response back. And there you go. It took a few seconds, and then I have my entire code here inside the API response and all the explanations and everything that we have got before, again in an API. So I hope you are able to follow along and implement the API and also the code for this. If you have any questions or had any issues while implementing this, let me know in the messages and I'll get back to you. Now, just to summarize what we did today, we built an AI-powered code autocompleter. We created a web app for interactive code suggestions. We enabled AI-powered debugging and explanations. And finally, we deployed the code assistant as an API for integration. Our next video will cover SQL query generator, where we will convert text queries to SQL.